Hello once again, people. So, we made it through most of this campaign of Knee Deep in the DU, which, as I kind of said at the start, isn't really made to be a solid, tight episode, more than just something to show the editing capabilities of DU. And as such, it's not really the most interesting of, level packs out there to probably play. But at the same time, it serves a historical purpose in showing a bunch of test maps, has some maps made by notable people at this time, and it is a pretty important piece of Doom history because of its connections to DU, the biggest editor of the time. So, yeah, definitely worth checking this out at least and seeing what these levels were about. Even if, they really weren't ever really released to the general public to really play. Those that were interested in DU and whatnot, which I kind of find surprising. But that's beside the point. Anyway, this time around we have yet another exclusive level here. Yeah, all levels besides Helipad were exclusive. I don't really know why Helipad was here, as I said before, but that's beside the point. Anyway, this level's called Prison. I think we saw like a DM prison or something like that. So yeah, just like how Sewer was like nearly close to Sewers, we're already running across the point whereby Doom P-Wads have like very similar names to each other. And yeah, that's going to be something that we're probably going to be encountering as we continue along because, I don't really think many people paid attention to like what other people were naming their P-Wads. And so you end up getting a lot of conflicts with names and whatnot, probably all over the years. You gotta think of the thousands of P-Wads that have been made, and the fact that most people relied upon a file name, words that were more descriptive or said something probably were used by multiple people. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Even if they used like their first name or something like Michael, probably was used by someone else. It probably is actually like another name for a P-Wad somewhere out there. But that's beside the point. This time around, we're checking out, like I said, Prison, made by Dietrich Hempelmann. Definitely a striking name, but a name I do not recognize anywhere. That definitely is like a name that I think I would know. Either that, or it's really, really like I have a good memory of forgetting stuff. Well, it's like the exact opposite of a good memory. But yeah, Heffelman I have not seen at all. And then he tells us to try Petermud at a certain IP address or whatever. Petermud. That is actually interesting because that is apparently a Mud game, as you would figure. That's why it's called Peter Mud. Yeah. It basically is apparently a mud that was made at some university, and yeah, it basically is one of the first ones that started using a lot of disk storage stuff and save states and all this various things, apparently. Um, yeah, apparently it changed its name to Xylomore, like in 1995, but this time it would have been called, Patermud still. So yeah, it's been a long-running project, but going on since then. A lot of MUDs usually tend to last over the years. I think like almost every MUD that was ever created still exists somewhere on the internet. That's kind of the weird thing about it. Like MMOs tend to die off, but MUDs don't really. It's rather weird, but it definitely is interesting to think of that, that there's all these old MUDs out there, from like the 80s, 70s, whatever, and you can still kind of play them if you really want to. I'm not really a MUD fan at all. I've tried like textual-based stuff, and it's not my cup of tea, so having an entire genre based on it, really not my thing. Um, Call me unimaginative, call me what you will, but I'm not really a big fan of textual-based games. I feel they are too limited in what they do or whatnot. At that point, I might as well just be reading an interactive book. because that's essentially what I'm kind of doing. I mean, some of them, like, you start getting to, like, text-based adventures or whatnot, you kind of get a little bit more. It's not exactly 100% because you do get a lot of actions you could do, but a lot of them come down to guessing what you could do. It's a lot of figuring out what exactly the instructions are that you can type. I kind of find it tedious to have to type everything constantly, like repeating commands over and over. It's the same reason DOS is kind of annoying to me, because it's a textual-based UI versus a graphical UI. At the end of the day, it's much easier not having to memorize all this different stuff. Even if the stuff is simple and whatnot, like CD for change directory, all that, but it still is the fact of the matter. Would you rather that or just click on a folder? It really is a situation whereby things have gotten simpler over the ages, and I just don't really see, like, MUDs being a good representation of the past at all. As you see, I check a lot of old school games, but yeah, that definitely is the old school I'm not a big fan of. I can't really get behind that. I've tried textual adventures, and every single time I just end up getting bored to death with them. Because, like I said, at that point I might as well just be reading a novel or something, and yeah, I just find it boring to sit there read more text and more text and more text. It's like, I want to get to something. I want to see something. Even if it's just some visualizations or something like that, but even if it's like a picture or something like that, it's still not the same as nice fluid animations and action going on and all that. So, yeah, enough of that, but yeah, I'm not a MUD fan at all. I'm glad I'm not doing, anything that's being referred to in these documents, because, yeah, I don't feel in the mood to start playing, all these old school games, because either you have the pain in the butt vector graphics, which are horrible, the sprite graphics were actually even more cryptic and worse, or you have, MUDs, textual adventures, all that hellhole stuff. Needless to say, I'm not really a good person for, like, going back to, like, earlier than, like, the 90s, definitely. If I was, like, stuck in pre-90s times, I don't know what I'd do for gaming, because, yeah, I don't think I could tolerate many, like, 80s games. Especially late 80s. At that point, I'd probably have to play Asteroids or something on the arcades, because, honestly, that stuff is better, in my opinion, to, like, the NES or something, which I know is going to be sacrilege to a lot of people and whatnot. That's definitely a thing most old schoolers are not going to tell you. But honestly, from my experiences, from what I've seen, it's just not a fun platform. It's actually, usually I'm not a big fan of mid-eye music. Like, it kind of works here or so because we're able to modify and get, like, a modern flair on it. But those, yeah, the original consoles are, of course, going to be limited, and because of that, it's going to sound terrible. The fact of the matter that it's more, basic melodies instead of the heavy metal influences makes it even worse. And yeah, there's really, like, the gameplay is a lot more platformer based, a lot more tedium and replay over and over and over, and lives and scores and all that fun stuff. And yeah, just not my cup of tea at all. It was a very different time, and you could say on the one hand it is nice to have the challenge, but on the other hand, I like I said, I believe in the past at certain points, I'd rather have the challenge on an already good defined game. Challenge on a terrible game it makes it even more terrible because you're stuck on it longer. On something that's terrible, I would just want to get through it and get done. So if anything, I'd rather have terrible things easy and the good stuff be really hard. But usually that's not the way it works out, sadly. But, so you have to try and find a good balance. But yeah, Nintendo hard, definitely a true thing, but at the same time, I just cannot accept it because I dislike how the gameplay generally tends to be. Anyway, I've been rambling about this long enough. Let's talk about actually the level! This is part of a level that I created during the last weeks. Didn't have that much time. It's a prison with nice imps, troopers, sergeants, and even demons and cacodemons on ultra-violence only. I see. You'll find the plasma gun and shotguns from the sergeants. Alright. And just want to make sure one last thing before we continue on. Yeah. Basically, he was just another one that was like around during DU at this time, but you know, it was never really released outside this pack, as all the others. I just want to make sure of that. I don't think he made any other levels as far as I know. Additional credits to Raphael and Steve, who are working on DU, the best editor out there. This is, of course, the one that made the final level of Knee Deep in the DU. We have finally come to the end of this pack. So, yeah, Cooperative has a starting point. There's really nothing else to it, but they have a starting point to it. There's 3 different difficulties here. None of, like, the custom graphics or sounds or any of that stuff, none of this has it. As is to be expected by this point. It took a mystery number of hours. Kind it from my big wad only took about 30 minutes. He keeps mentioning this big wad or whatever, but, you know, what actually be pretty nice? Give me some clue on what your big wad is. Like, look on the internet really quick. I couldn't find any information that this has been, like, that he ever released this big wad. It never got, like, any notoriety for it, definitely. You know, because a quick Google search, like I said, did not show anything about him. If anything, the only thing shown was this pack. So, that is kind of like he gave up at a certain point. And this might be all we have of that big pack. So anyway, he has various betas in DU. As to be expected, this time DU 5.1 was being created. And that's kind of what I expect a lot of people are kind of intended to use, because that's what this whole thing was promoting. He says to mail him if you find any bugs. I'm not really sure if it will still work 23 years later, but you can definitely try. Yeah, like I said, it's really going to be an interesting thing to all of a sudden get emails from people 23 years later to complain about your wad that was made back in 1994. You know, I mean, that would definitely be interesting. That length of time that's passed. Anyway, let's actually load up this PY, because I'm getting tired of just sitting here to a black screen. Yeah, we gotta shoot stuff, we gotta kill things, we gotta make things die and suffer horrible deaths. We shall suffer the eternal fate of the whatchamacallits. Whatever it is that things suffer. Whatever it is that heroes suffer, because we are heroes. Maybe if I could type right, we could actually get somewhere. Oh. Well, if you wanted an ultimate final episode, it's definitely not going to be in size of bigness. This is a lot smaller than the previous level was. So, yeah, it looks like it's going to be rather short, actually. So as I said at the beginning of this really wasn't intended to be a pack most people played. It was more a pack to see what things could do in the editor. So that doesn't surprise me at all that we're going to get an anticlimactic ending. It actually makes more sense than, like, Laura Bayer's Doom. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, Laura Bayer's Doom should have had a climatic ending, but I digress. We've already worried about Laura Bayer's Doom. We're in a totally different era right now. Even though, ironically, we're actually, like, maybe a week or so later than Laura Bayer's Doom at the moment. Yeah, this is what happens. We're kind of bouncing around the months of, like, April and May. Okay. We already found most of the items on the level. Here's a switch. And here's a door. I think I figured out what I'm supposed to do. I flip the switch, the door opens. Here, there, something else happens. I don't know. Now the door opens. Hooray for the obvious. I see. Then, here's the prison cells. I see. That's actually pretty nice prison cells. Compare this to DM Prison, whereby it was just pretty much doors leading to empty areas. This looks a lot nicer. Dirty, dingy cells with like a bed, a jail cell for like these little ropes. It works. I like it. I like it a lot, actually. I like the look of this. Somebody, this isn't really a level to play, like in terms of really entertainment factor, but has a nice look to it, definitely. Even if it's just a bit gimmicky or whatnot, it's still a nice little thing. So here we are. We can enter the prisons. Can become a prisoner. Can roleplay as a prisoner. What advertisement for your Doom level? You can roleplay as a prisoner. You can try and lock yourself inside with the demons outside, and have them yell at you and tell you how you're going to be locked in here permanently. Amazing roleplay. So there's still one item somewhere. Not sure where. And there's still a secret somewhere, which is going to drive me nuts. Uh-oh. More demons! We must shoot them. Because we are heroes, and we must exterminate the enemies. One guy down, 2 guys down. I'm good at counting, as you see. Obviously, that is the highlight of the story. My ability to count things. I could be a hero by killing things or doing anything else. Oh my god, there's barons. Nobody mentioned barons in this adventure. Why does that look like a crusher? This looks like an interesting crusher. I don't think I need to kill the barons. I think the crusher will do it for me. I can figure out my way to it. What's this lead to? I found my way to hell! Why is this a thing? Random alcove of hell. Okay. No real explanation given, and it doesn't lead anywhere. That definitely is odd. We'll go with it. Well, this is a pretty obvious wall. Maybe because this is a very obvious trap. It's a trap. If only we had Admiral Akbar here. He would make the situation so much better. He would yell at me and tell me how much everything was a trap. And you know how much that's needed right now. Well, I got a key card. Hooray! My obsession with murdering everything has paid off. Owie! Where'd you guys come from? I don't know, but I'm making you die. Okay, can you agree with that? Do you agree? Do you agree? Why does this look like a secret? I don't know, this looks like a weird misaligned texture. Why is this misaligned? Is this just a random misaligned thing? Okay. Whatever you say. Now, the weird thing about this area, besides the fact of all this, is that there's all these ledges around it. It sounds like there's elevators or something. Like, I heard elevators, I thought. Or am I just running around getting pot-shy for nothing? So yeah, we just stand in front of these corners and we can shoot them down. Very convenient because we kind of need it right now. You know, mainly because we've kind of been hurt pretty bad. Just saying, we might need some healing. Owie! Visible dudes. Whew! I see, I figured out how to do this. Okay. Now what? Well, if I hug this wall... Where's this lead? Ah! But if I hug the wall... I gotta be determined. Or I could just use the elevators and go straight up. That works too! Now, the question is, what's the point of all this? And, is there a way I can find, like, a wall secret? I'd like a secret. Had to try spamming that wall. Let's see here. There's still one more. Gotta love all these walls to spam. It really makes it. Hey! Let me up! Don't make this even longer than you have to, game. I tell you, these unaligned textures are not helping the situation. It's like I'm confused to begin with, and then all these happen. Like, how am I supposed to find a secret in this mess? Oh, look, a staircase. Well, at least it leads to a health. Now if I can just fight my way there. I guess the convenient thing is, besides the 2 barons in the cage, this is most of the stuff. Yeah. Hooray! I am not going to die due to a bunch of overwhelming forces. I'm going to die due to not knowing where the blaze secret is. That's, of course, the obvious answer. Well, at least I got all the items. That's a start in the right direction. But there's still that plasma gun. That must be what the secret is. There's a missing plasma gun in this level, and I must deduce wherefore it is. Oh. Well, this is not exactly what I expected. Ruh-roh. Something tells me the plasma gun is in here. The plasma gun I'm looking for is not in the main computer. Okay, where? Where? Oh, where is that stupid plasma gun at? Oh, where could it be? Now I gotta spam every freaking wall. Oh, where could it be? Gotta love spamming every wall, because that's what we gotta do. Why? This play game decided it's gonna spam every wall. What a fun, epic final level. Yeah. Great way to make a final level, dude. You killed any hope I had this actually be a decent level. Why? Because you made spam every wall. Spam every wall! What an amazing story. I love it. It was very plot intriguing. It told me so much. Stuff that I didn't even know about. Stuff I didn't realize. Why, if we don't spam any wall, we're as bad as the enemy are. We must spam every wall, people. It's necessary. For the prospect of peace. See, can you really hide anything here? I mean, it looks open. It looks like... Look at this. There's no way you can hide something here because it's flat around it. Yeah. I mean, I just moved around on the jagged edge of that. Yeah. All I have to ask is, this bloody hell area. I don't get it. Hope you like your just desserts, punk. You're the one who blew up that barrel. You didn't have to blow it up. You could have easily not blown up the barrel. But nope, you had to blow it up because ooga booga, I'm a monster. Ooga booga. Now it's like, what do these cages have it? I don't even know. At this point I'm just spamming walls in the hope something appears. Maybe a magical genie will appear and tell me where the answer is. Would that be swell? At this point, I can expect that to happen. I supposed to like punch every wall or something? Wait a minute. There's a red wall here. I completely forgot about the red door over here. I see. I'm an idiot. Wow, I just spammed every wall and there was a very obvious red door. That would do it. That would obviously do it. Just a little bit. Yeah, I would say so. Well, we meet again, my friends. Owie! Owie! Okay, they can shoot through the bars. I know this now, and I am not going to let them beat me at it. I now know your weakness, and I have no room to move. Okay, but now we know how to beat them. We can rebuild them. We can make them stronger, faster. We can press this wall and this wall. Ah! Take it through here. Make him die a horrible fate. It's okay. He was a background character. Background characters do not matter. They can die horrible deaths. It's in their nature. Come on, punk. Make my day. Make my day, punk. I want to make you bleed. I want to see your red guts. I want to see your green guts among your red guts. I want to watch all your blood together. Okay. So, much like E1M8, you kill the two barons, you get the exit door. Yay! I did it. I wonder if the barons are actually like a controlling factor and that you need to kill them to exit the level or something in E1M8. I haven't heard anything like that. I only heard that was for like E2M8 and E3M8, but it seems like it was definitely a controlled factor here. Interesting. Anyway, here's a button that leads to this. Yay! Splash screen me now. Doom! So, yeah. Probably not the most climatic missions to end up on, as you kind of figured, as we all kind of, I said at the very beginning it was going to be this way. But yeah, basically, it is interesting in the one regard that it has a nicer look in prison than DM Prison. I'd rather play this over that any day. I will say that, hands down. This is a much better designed prison level, just in terms of appearance. And the fact that there's really nothing frustrating here. I end up spamming every wall, but as you saw, that was totally unnecessary. That was me being an idiot, and I'm glad to say I was an idiot there, because it makes it so that way I can actually say that it was a relatively small but decent level. It really, the biggest problem here is the lack of challenge. There really wasn't much going on until you get to the Barons. The Barons definitely were a nice little bit of end challenge or so. I expected just to be solved with a Crusher or something, and so it was pretty satisfying, and that ended up actually being a boss fight against them. Kind of like what we have gotten in regular E1M8. But regardless of that fact, and beyond that area, it really was another E1M8. That's really what it ended up feeling like. It felt like a replacement for E1M8 in a way. Definitely a little bit longer version of it with a weird prison that makes no sense whatsoever in terms of the narrative, but it definitely works. we at least get a nice little prison, so like I said, it definitely looks better than the other one. So it has nice looks, has a decent boss fight at the end that is reminiscent of, E1M8. And other than that, you can't even say anything about everything else because the rest of the level in E1M8 was easy. So, yeah, it kind of is, honestly, very, very similar and reminiscent of it in a way. Nothing really felt out of place or unfair. Had nice little prison cells, like I said. That was really the main feature of this level. Beyond it was just kind of a couple corridors or so, but like I said, it really was just a quick, short, sweet boss level. And it works. like I said, combined with the very nicely designed prison cells that are just very impressive, I feel. I feel like this was how to represent a prison cell using Doom technology. I think this was a very well crafted piece of design right here. So that alone definitely means that it's worth some merit in just design and having a nice battle, having a nice thing. It definitely is a pretty decent mission. Nothing that's too great. Being an E1M8 replacement is nice, but the problem with being an E1M8 replacement by this point, we're Doom veterans. We should be used to something like this, 200 or something plus episodes into the series. So having two Barons fight us again is kind of not exactly the greatest of threats, since we kind of killed a lot of Barons even in the official campaign. We've killed more than two on occasion. And we've definitely killed plenty of Barons throughout the entire PWAD run. So, yeah, Barons really aren't like the biggest of threats anymore. So, like a Cyber Demon or Spider Mastermind is still a threat, while a Baron kind of has been, resorted to like a mini enemy by this point. And so yeah, unless you're really like a newbie coming from the beginner game and this was the first thing you played, it just doesn't really feel like it's going to have that much of an impact on you in terms of like being the tough boss fight it should be. But regardless of that fact, it definitely is a nice stand-in for E1M8. I feel it at least trying to capture that spirit of it. While not being as grandiose and having that nice staircase and all the stuff there, it's nice in that it does its own little thing. Like I said, not the most grandiose of headsets, but something that does have some nice little design appeal and a nice little boss fight at the end in a nice confined area. That's really the one good strength about this one was the confinement of the prison. Anyway, this has been a rather lengthy series. It's involved multiple parts of me going through all these different random levels. Like I said, it's very interesting to check out all these levels that are just total exclusives to this pack. Like, they don't exist anywhere else, but yet some of these levels, like I said, were made by pretty notable people. So it's rather interesting indeed that all these levels just are found here, and were pretty much intended to be played only by editors at DU. Like I said, you could say that these are test levels, and you might be right on some regards, but in all honesty, a lot of these levels fit the bill for like what like an April level would be. And by now I'm kind of spoiled by what like a May level is generally, but some of these have some nice appeal to them, and some definitely work better than others here. Like I said, I think, it definitely ended on a relatively decent note or so. It could have ended on a weaker level, definitely, and I feel for a final level or so, if it's trying to replicate E1M8, even though we saw a lot of Barons elsewhere in this series, it works. Anyway, I'm done here. Thank you very much all for watching. It has been an adventure, and I shall see you all when I get back to the regular Punchin' Baron series. See you all then.